did you think of day one? Who looked good? What were your overall thoughts?
I thought our team was in good shape. It was hot, obviously. We got a good 2-hour practice in, 2 hour and 10-minute maybe. I thought our quarterbacks were very accurate. Thought our protection was better, and thought we played hard. Our transition needs to get better. Our moving on the field in between plays needs to get better. That'll come. That's a lot of times that's a first practice problem that our kids will fix. They do everything we ask them to do. They just need to understand the expectation, and they will. I was very pleased with today's practice.
Sam, you talked yesterday about 23 seniors and 19 starters, but you've got 5 new assistant on-field 5 assistants. Talk about how they kind of fit in, not just the first practice, but just since they've been hired,
Yeah, I think, it's hard to answer that question without being critical of whom you had before, you know what I mean, a little bit. So I don't want to make it like that. What I do want to say is that, Coach Ashley was here in the spring, and Kenny, and the new guy would have been Dow. He's really learned quick. He's done a really good job in recruiting, getting the alumni back in here, and obviously has a wealth of knowledge, and he's helping us offensively as well as with the tight ends. I think they really respect him. Coach Kennedy has done the same thing since June the 3rd. He's won the trust of those kids, and I thought they played well today. And then I'm missing somebody, Coach Shear. Coach Shear certainly was here in the spring, so they've had time to do that. But, for hiring, basically moving a coach on staff June the 3rd, and then hiring somebody somewhere around the 12th, probably, I think is when we hired him. Thought it went really smooth, and that's not a credit to me. That's a credit to our coordinators, and a credit to how hard these guys, how important Arkansas and the game of football are to them.
A bit yesterday. Could you expound on him a little bit?
Yeah, he's got a little bit of a ham right now, so I don't know that we saw the full. Well, I know we didn't see the full Warren Thompson today. So great kid, works hard, wonderful looking kid. 6'4" or whatever, 6'4.5", 220, whatever. He looks like an outside receiver. And he's just a little beat up in the ham. And once we get that fixed, we'll know a little bit more about him.
Saw Devion out there with the brace on his knee. How did he look today? And did you guys have to limit him a little like you thought?
He fell down a few times and he got up. So that was a good sign. He's a hardworking kid and loves Arkansas, and he's a leader. And thought he looked well. Obviously he's got the brace on. I don't know if there'll be a point in time where we can get that off of him, but I think the knee, he had full clearance to go out there, and we shortened his reps by a few, probably not as many as we thought we probably would need to. But I think he's in pretty good shape with that knee.
Sam, I saw some on Twitter between now and the practice. I guess they showed Grant. I assume it was before practice. He's out there yelling and firing everybody up. I could kind of see you in the background. So you obviously saw it. Was that like when you guys were getting ready for warm-ups, or just what'd you think of that? He was pretty basically passionate.
Yeah. Well, if he wanted to go into coaching, he'd be a good one because he's knowledgeable and he's very likable and he's passionate. But when we go to stretch, somebody will talk to him on the team before the stretch, and then someone will talk to him after the stretch, right before we go to ball security drills and pods. And so that was what you saw. And he's a good day one guy to get out there, because he knows what he's talking about, and the kids believe in him.
I was going to ask a follow-up about Warren Thompson. What's it say about him to come here as a non-scholarship guy, former heralded recruit? And I know he has a little bit of a connection with Coach Briles. Did that kind of help get y'all in the picture for him in the
That
transfer portal?
that certainly helped, once he went into the portal, that certainly helped. I didn't know a whole lot about him. I knew, guys, to take kids off a high school tape out of the portal and they've been in a college for a year or two, it's hard now. It's hard for me. I want to take a kid that I've seen do something in a college game. And so at that point, we decided we'd try to get him to come walk on. And if he earned a scholarship, we certainly have one available. But that's kind of the conversation. And Kendall obviously coached him there at Florida State.
Woods didn't come back and Devian coming in off the injury. Just where does Tyson Morris kind of fit in your plans? And
Made some good plays today. He did. Tyson, his biggest challenge was his consistency in his work ethic and his mind, not getting down, being consistent because he's very talented. He can run, got a good body, good length, and it can catch. His deal was just kind of a up and down, not 50-50, but, his down times were not good. And he certainly looks better. He's more consistent. It's practice one, but I anticipate him having a good fall camp. He did have a good first day.
Pretty eager to come back as far as, being a 6-year senior.
He was, and to be honest with you, I didn't know how that would go. I didn't know. We obviously wanted him to come back, and I didn't know, but there was really no hesitation. I certainly talked to him about our expectations and what he wanted to accomplish out of his super senior year, and his goals and our goals matched up.
We didn't get to watch a lot of practice, but one of the drills I was watching, AJ Green was last. I think he was being a rookie, last in line. How long do you think that'll continue? And how much progress has Raheem Sanders made in terms of getting comfortable playing running back?
I think, when you're young, you might believe that your place in line is last. You understand what I'm saying. And I think that's probably AJ, knowing him, that's probably a respect thing to the older guys out there. I don't anticipate him being the last running back we have, but he did some nice things. I'm very excited about his knowledge. I mean, he's a smart kid. He learns fast. Rocket, it was nice to have him back full speed. He had that high ankle injury in spring ball, and he toughed through it, but I don't think we really got to see the true him. He's 225 pounds, and I think we've got something there, and we'll have to find out. But again, I think the biggest thing, Trey, is we're trying to find 2 first and 2 and 3, and then let them go sick them, against on Traylon Smith, and see, Smitty would be a hard guy to beat out because he's so passionate and such a hard player.
Sam, how did KJ and the other quarterbacks look today?
Yeah, I was really, that's probably the thing I was most excited about today was our quarterback's accuracy. I thought KJ did a nice job in there, and you can go really down the line. I thought Malik had a good day. I thought John Stevens Jones made some really good plays. Coley, Renfro, and it was really exciting to see Landon Rogers today. He made some really nice long ball throws down the field, and with that, I think Jaden Wilson, the receiver, had a nice day too. It was good to see him catch some balls and get behind some defensive backs.
Just general thoughts on what you saw from the O-line today, and just anybody catch your eye?
It's hard, when you don't have pads, it's hard. I mean, it's easy to see a lot of mistakes, you know what I mean? Or guys that are lazy, or guys that wasn't the case. It's hard because the defense, they've got limitations on them, or in spiders. But I like that group. I think they're going to get better. But I thought they did a nice job today. We've got depth there, and, we just have to find the 5 that we feel are our best. I think there's some battles in there as well, but I was pleased with them, and they got good leadership in that group, and a good football coach that's coaching them.
Most of the comments I heard from assistant coaches today were positive, uplifting stuff.
Yeah.
Is that something you coach, or is that just natural for them now because they know what you want?
Yeah, I'm the worst one out there, I hired guys because of how they talk to kids and how they relate to kids and how they can motivate kids and how they can teach them. And I think that's exactly what we have. I want a guy, if I do something, I make a mistake, that it's not, you saw EMF here and that, that it's, hey, I'm going to teach you how to do it right. And then if he does something great, and I want the coach to be the loudest he possibly can be at practice, because other kids will see that as well, and they'll want the same thing coming their way. I love our coaches. I think they work hard. I think they're knowledgeable, and more important than anything, I think they can get their kids to play for them because they respect them. And by the way that, our mouth is very, very powerful, and the way that they talk to the kids, I think the kids respect that.
Where the roster weights were updated the other day, and Devin Manuel's listed as 370. I was wondering to get your thoughts on that. And also, I think the only scholarship guy under 300 is Marcus Henderson. Did you like to see him get a little bit bigger still, or what are your thoughts on those two guys?
I think Henderson's at one point last week, it was like 83, and that's too light to play in this league. He knows that. He's been as heavy as 300. We obviously want good weight. Devin, I think he's down to 263 maybe, but he's a big old guy now. Now he's got to lose some weight, and things of that nature. But I'll be honest with you, I was shocked at his foot speed today. I mean, he's got foot speed. He's a good basketball player, not as good as he says he was, but he was, he's a pretty good ball player. And he gained a lot of weight over COVID. He's worked hard. The strength staff have worked hard for him to lose about 20 pounds to this point. But I think he's going to be a good player because he's big and he's got good feet.
What we saw, wideouts versus DBs one-on-one, looks like maybe the wideouts had a little more success. I don't know if you saw that, but what do you think in team stuff? How did the DBs do?
Well, I mean, it's hard as a head coach because, you have, there was a point in time in there in fastball starts where the second team defense picked us off, I think 3 times in 4 plays, defensive lineman batted a ball, batted up in the air. And I think it was Utsy or it was Dorian Gerald, one of those two. And then we got behind them, on offense. So I think that's just part of practice. You have to take the good with the bad, and hopefully you get more consistent on both sides of the ball. But I don't, it's hard to say somebody beat somebody in underwear, Any more questions for Coach?
So if a head coach is a play caller, he obviously tends to stick to one side of the ball. You're kind of more of a CEO guy, I guess. How do you decide kind of how to spend your time during practice with which groups, and is it consistent, or is it kind of just how you feel at practice? I'm just curious about that.
Well, sometimes it's because we've talked about a specific drill that I want to see. Obviously watch every piece of tape, but it might be a drill that we talked about, and I want to see how it's set up and how that's ran. A lot of times it'll be go to a new coach. If we've had some new coaches, maybe spend a week or 2 around their players and all that. I don't go to the offensive line as much. Right now I'm sitting in on their meetings, and that has nothing to do with Cody. I just, last year I was worried about, a lot of things at this point in time that I still am, but not quite as much, and I have more time. And so I like to go, if I can, to the offensive line meeting, and then I know exactly what's going on in there. And then I try to walk around. I try to hit every position group. Obviously, I want to see the tight ends a little bit today, simply because it's Dow's new deal, and I want to, basically be there and show support for him. But I don't really have a plan. I just like to hit them all if I can, especially during individual.